the importance of it, and that is leadership. Now, leadership is something that can be found in every level, in every scope, in every organization, company, from the smallest street, a household, all the way to a country, to a nation, to even a continent, and even the world. Dear viewers, as always, I like to give you a story before I begin digging into the details, because it gives us a good context to have a look at. Today's story is about a gentleman named Sean. Sean is a principal of a school. One fine month, his friend by the name of Farhan came to his city, moved to his city. And Sean was very happy that his friend has come to his city. And his friend happened to be a teacher, and quite a highly qualified teacher as well. So Sean invited Farhan to his school. And he said that, I want you to come to my school, have a look at the way my school runs, how it works, the system, and come in, I'll make you one of the senior teachers, and it's going to be great. Buddy, come. So Farhan goes to his school. It was morning time. Farhan walks in. He has a look at this great, beautiful, big building, and he looks at the campus. He looks at the facilities. He looks at the student body. He pops his head into a few classes and sees how they're going on. And Farhan, definitely, he likes what he sees, and he's like, this is a pretty good educational institution. And slowly but easily, while Sean gives him a tour, he takes him to his office, which was the final destination of the tour. So Sean sits Farhan down and talks to him and tells him that, in this school, we pride ourselves on the fact that all of our teachers are highly qualified, they have all the certifications they need, and we go through rigorous training every single quarter, if not every year, and this is what we do. So Farhan, slowly but easily, is listening to him, nodding along, understanding, trying to take everything in. And there's a knock at the door. So Sean says, come in. And this teacher comes in, pops his head in, and says, excuse me, sir, if you have a few minutes, I'd like to talk to you. And so Sean says, I'm in the middle of a meeting, his tour with Farhan, and he says that, how can I help you? Tell me. And so this teacher proposes an idea, says that I have a proposal to bring about different types of tactile activities in classrooms, which means hands-on activities where students can do things by, moving around while they learn. And the teacher says that this is a good way to make sure that motion meets learning. So students are on the move and they're learning, they're enjoying as well. There's not a dull moment in class, and it eliminates the possibility of having somebody who's bored in class, a student who might be sleepy, didn't get enough sleep last night and is dozing off in class, and it generally makes the class more dynamic. So as this teacher gives a small brief about this new proposal of teaching, Sean cuts him off. And Sean says, oh, okay, put the proposal down on the table. I'll have a look at it and I'll talk to you about it later. And the teacher says, oh, okay. And the teacher puts the proposal down and leaves. Farhan was looking at this happening. And then Farhan looks at Sean, and before Sean could say anything, Farhan stops him. And he says, my friend, I would not work for you in your school. And all of a sudden, Sean says, what? Why? And he said that the moment your colleague walked in, yes, leadership is not a rank, it's not a position, it's a choice, it's a personality, it's a way of life. At least it's a discipline of life. He said the moment your colleague walked in, a teacher, a pinnacle of a school, teachers are your most valued asset. The teacher walked in with an idea. I'm not having an important meeting with you. You called me here. There was no reason for you to brush that employee off. What you should have done is, as a leader or a person who's in a role which is regarded to be a leadership role, you were supposed to hear this person out, have him sit down, and maybe I would have learned something as well if I ever wanted to join your school. But you didn't do that. Now what happens is that that employee, that teacher, goes away thinking that their hard work, I don't know how much time it took that teacher to come up with such a proposal. Maybe the teacher tested this theory in their class about making tactile activities. Maybe there was a hit and trial and error phase as well. And God knows what the teacher did. Talk to other teachers, talk to their peers, and got feedback on it. Because that was a heavy envelope that the teacher brought in with the proposal. And the principal didn't even have the decency to look at it and give it some attention. And Farhan said that that is not leadership. So if you treat your employees like that, any school that offers him even a nickel more than what he's making here, that teacher's going to jump ship. And the true story is, 2 months later, that teacher did jump ship. Because they got a better opportunity, maybe better money, maybe a better position in some other place, in some other educational institution. The story and the moral to take away from here is how leadership affects everything from top to bottom. And how leadership can define how you move forward. Leadership can be found in your household, whether it be between siblings. You can be the youngest sibling, you can be the oldest one, you can be someone in the middle, you could be the only child. You could show leadership skills. Parents. Now, mothers, fathers, husbands, and wives. There's equality. We all know that. Men and women are equal in the sight of God as well. Leadership is shown in different areas for men and women. Men show leadership probably because they work more outside. I'm not saying that this is something that is a valid point, but it could be valid to some extent. But a woman makes the household run at times. There are different areas where they have authority to make decisions. They have authority to show leadership skills. Do they show leadership skills is another question. It's another topic. But they can if they want to. The fact of the matter is, the moment that you decide that you want to take a decision, you've become a leader. Even if it's for yourself, you might have an opportunity for quite a few jobs that you've got offers from, maybe subjects that you want to study at university, maybe even choosing elective subjects in high school. The moment you make a decision, you show leadership quality and skill. It could be great and it could be poor as well. Could be any way. But anyone can be a leader. That is the bottom line. Leadership skills are just like your muscles. You go to the gym often or you play sports enough, you want to remain fit. The more you exercise your muscles, the fitter you become and the more in tone you are. It's the same thing with leadership skills. There are a few leadership skills which I'm going to go over, and I'm also going to give you some more examples. But if you're able to practice those leadership skills in your daily life, dear viewers, all of you, in your capacities, where you are, and what you're comfortable with, you all can become leaders. It's as simple as that. Leadership skills become stronger the moment you practice them. The less you practice them, the less leadership qualities you have. And that's what it is. A leader can be found anywhere. A leader doesn't have to be a person who has a role of senior management. That is not a leader. Senior management is a role that a company needs to fill so their operational needs can go forward. Senior management does not mean leader. Please take that out of your mind. And I don't say this as my own opinion. I say this as scientific research, business analyst research, and the economist telling us that a senior management position does not make you a leader. Your personality and your ability to practice those skills make you one. So, as I've said, leadership skills are not difficult to understand. Every time you make a decision, you're a leader. Whether it be for yourself, whether it be for your family, maybe you're the head of the household, maybe you're the elder sibling, maybe you're a middle sibling, maybe you have a lot of brothers and sisters and you've made a decision for everybody and everybody agrees with you. You might have that personality that everybody is persuaded quite easy from you, which is great. But the moment you've made a decision, you've shown leadership. A leader, by definition, a true leader, as the topic of this show states, is somebody who knows the cause cause, the reason of why you're doing something. Everybody knows what. Any company you go to, any organization you're with, any family that has certain norms, traditions, cultures that they have, they know what they are. They know what product they're selling in a company. They know what is right and wrong in their household. They know what is frowned upon and what is appreciated. Anywhere you go, everybody knows what. Do you know why? That is where a leader comes in. Why are you doing something? If today somebody says, oh, I want to open a school. Why do you want to open a school? If the person says that it's a good business prospect, you can make good money off of it, and there are not enough schools for a set audience or a target market that you have, then I think I should tap into that. That is not a leader in any way. That is a businessman. A leader is a person who tells you that I want to open up a school because I've worked as a teacher. Usually people have experience in the field that they're in. And based on their experience, on the strength of what they've seen, what they've done, what they've learned, the mistakes that they've made, you make mistakes. You have to make mistakes. Every leader has done so. For my Pakistani viewers, Muhammad Ali Jinnah has made mistakes. And today he's a great leader. For my Indian viewers, Mahatma Gandhi made mistakes. But he's still a leader. For those people who are South African, Nelson Mandela made mistakes. But you're a leader. Some famous leader once said, I don't remember the name, probably when I say the quote, you guys know, but a person had made a lot of mistakes and then got it right. And the person said, I didn't make mistakes, I learned 99 ways of how it doesn't work, and then I learned one that does. And that's how you have to approach a mistake. You don't have to see it as an error that you've made. You don't have to beat yourself when you've made a mistake. You have to learn from it. And you have to learn that there's another way to go about it. So you keep trying until you get it right. And that is what a leader does. And that is where a leader comes in. So if a leader says, I want to open up a school for a target market, same dynamic, but I want to open up this school because I've worked as a teacher, I've seen how school systems work, I've seen the type of education they provide, whether it be a religion aspect, whether it be an ethnic aspect that they have, an ethnic one, whether it be a background aspect, whether it be something to do with school of thought or associations with organizations and universities, whatever it may be. The person says, I've seen other schools that operate in this domain, and I feel as though this is what they're lacking and this is what can't be done. And I've worked in those schools and I've tried to implement it. I've tried to bring it, but it wasn't successful. So I think I should open up a school that offers that. And maybe that might be my tipping point. And that might be something that people will value because my school or my educational institution offers this skill set. That is a cause. Because that person will now hire teachers or hire professionals based on cause, not based on money, not based on cheap labor, not labeling things. That person will hire people based on value. Can this person bring value to my cause? And that is how you move forward. And a leader takes responsibility whenever an error is made or whenever somebody, now those people who are in management roles. First off, I don't like the word management. There shouldn't be such a thing as manager. You don't have a manager. Nobody manages what you do. Yes, they micromanage at times, but what is a manager really? Is a person who is a skilled worker, they did your job really well, they knew how to do their job really well, and they got promoted. When they got promoted, their job was to take care or be in charge of the people who were doing the job that they were doing before. But what they end up doing is they micromanage. They tell them how to do it. This is how I used to do it. This is how it's supposed to happen. Even if their method, the current employees at that lower level are doing their job well, a manager who comes up might end up dictating. And when you dictate, you've lost a leadership role. You've lost the qualities of being a leader. You're just a manager, which is not really a good thing. So what happens is that people who get promoted, great, good for them that they've got promoted. But when you're at a skilled level, your company, your organizations, wherever you work for, make you do different types of training. They send you abroad for training. They might give you in-house training, maybe within the city or intercity training. But they want to make sure that you develop your skill, which is beautiful. But the moment somebody is promoted and they go higher up the rank, the less training there is. And this is purely business analysts speaking. I do my research. I don't come here and I tell you things based on my opinion. These are things that I've researched, but I don't take any names because there's no point in doing so. And I don't believe in defiling, defaming, or disclosing people because of the fact that of what work they've done. So the higher you go, the less training there is. But in reality, people who are in senior positions should receive training on how to be in charge, how to take care of situations, how to take accountability. Because believe it or not, a leader takes accountability. Accountability doesn't mean that, oh, I did this job and it was great. My team did this and this is wonderful. It means that when your team does something wrong as well, when things don't turn up the way you want them to, you can call it a mistake, you can call it an error, but look at it as a learning curve. But when your team didn't output or didn't have the result that you expected, you stand up and you take that accountability as well. And with that, you have proposals and different opinions or options in your mind on how to improve it. But not just your own. You bring in your team. You sit them down. A famous story of Nelson Mandela. Now this is a character who every other leader you take a look at around the world, there have been pros and cons against him. There have been people who've spoken ill about them, people who've been their well-wishers as well. But Nelson Mandela universally has been somebody who's been accepted as a great leader. And people have done a lot of study and research on his personality, his character, from the time he was born up until he was the president of South Africa. Everybody asked him, what gave you this leadership quality? He was in an interview and people asked him, where does your quality of leadership come from? Your patience, your ability to stand up, your ability to be absolutely sober when you make a decision, your ability to bring out equality within people, even though you've been through so much and you've been through a racist phase in your life and the apartheid that took place in South Africa. And Nelson Mandela's father used to be a tribe chief. So he gave an example and he said that what I learned from my father. Whenever my father would go to a meeting for the tribe, I would be sitting with my father, and when the meeting would start, my father would put the topic up forth, we're going to talk about what the issue is or what we're planning, what the development is. And his father used to hear everyone out before he spoke. So he would get everybody's opinion on the table. And maybe he would learn something from those opinions as well before he brought his own on the table. Because that way, everyone that you work for, or work with, in fact, feels valued, feels heard. And that is the main purpose of what a leader stands for, to hear people. You have to show care. When you value people, you're showing care. And care doesn't only mean that you say that, oh, I care for my people. Oh, this guy, he was sick. I told him to go off. I gave him a paid day's leave. That's great where it is. But I'm pretty sure there's policies and standards set by the government about sick leave and whatnot. What did you do to show care? I have a story that I'd like to share with you of my own. I used to work in the Middle East as a lecturer of English language. And while I was working, I remember that I used to work for a diplomatic mission, basically. So we used to work for the British Embassy. And it was a part of the British Embassy, which was the cultural department. And basically, we had a director who's basically the cultural attaché. Now, that person is a high-level diplomat as compared to us teachers, because you have teachers, then you have supervisors and senior teachers, you have center managers, and then you have the director. And I remember I had really bad teaching timing, so I was teaching in the evenings because we were teaching adults who were the working class. So you'd have people who'd get off work at 4 or 5 o'clock, and our classes used to begin at 4 or 5, and they used to go all the way to nighttime to like 10:30 p.m. So there was a time when I was teaching, and it was about 8 p.m., and my last class was about to begin. Tired, not knowing what's going to happen next, waiting for the day to end, I entered the teaching staff room. And when I entered the staff room, the director, the cultural attaché at the time, was standing in the staff room, and on the table were donuts and cups of coffee with sugar and all this other stuff. And I entered in, and there were a few other teachers who came in after me, some were there before me, and the director looked at us and he said that I want to thank you for the time that you're putting in and all the hard work that you're doing, and we realize that you have unorthodox work timings, but this is a little something that I wanted to show you and express my gratitude for what you're doing. This person's a director. That is a role where there is minimum contact with people who are your immediate, officers that deal with customers. Director level people talk to director level people. But I'm not saying that this person went out of their way. I'm saying this person did what leaders should do. They showed that they cared by a gesture. Nobody's asking you to go buy coffee for everybody, but there could be something similar that you could do. You could be, as a director, as a senior level person, as a principal, as a leader, as a rector, as a dean of a university or a department, you could walk up to your professors, you could walk up to your teachers, you could meet them. As a CEO of a company, as a CFO, as a chairman, you could go to those people who are on the front lines, your customer service people, your salesmen. You can walk up to that floor, look at people, say hi to them, and just appreciate what they're doing. That is care. That is showing that you're at the front line. And that is what a leader does. A leader makes time for others. And that is a very, very, very basic leadership quality that people should have. Unfortunately, according to statistics, it doesn't happen much nowadays. Acknowledgement is something that everybody loves. Let me tell you something about today. I came into work today, and one of our very good colleagues of mine over here says that I got a cup, and it has the logo of the TV channel that I work for. This is acknowledgement. This makes me feel a bit special that, oh, I got a cup. Small gestures, small things make you feel valued. The moment you feel valued, you don't want to go anywhere. With that, I have an example to share with you. It's about a young man named Bilal. Bilal used to work at a hotel. And at a hotel, he was a receptionist. He used to stand at reception. People used to come in. He used to open up their bookings, or he used to take calls and book for people. And he worked at two hotels. Now, I'm not going to name the hotels, so let's call Hotel A and Hotel B. So one time, a customer met Bilal in Hotel B. And Bilal was really nice, really friendly, asking the customer where they came from, how their journey was, and gave them a little bit of a percentage off on the room price, gave them the employee discount as well, and said, have a great stay. And the customer was really happy. The customer tipped Bilal as well. And the customer asked Bilal, do you like your job? And Bilal said, I love my job. So the customer asked, what makes you love your job? And Bilal said, actually, I work at another hotel as well, Hotel A. And over there, I just keep my head down. Because whenever you do something right, it's okay. But the moment you make a small error, a mistake, a booking number, something goes haywire, you immediately get an email or a phone call from a manager, and they start scolding you, they start telling you that this is not how it's done, and you're under the radar. And you could easily get fired. So he said, over there, I just keep my head down waiting for my paycheck. Over here, managers walk by, the CEO walks by, the owner of the hotel comes in and asks me, do you need anything to make sure that you're doing your job well? And Bilal's like, I like that sense of being valued. People care for me. So the customer, if he had gone to Hotel A, he would have met a completely different Bilal. At Hotel B, it was a completely different Bilal. This is a tragedy happening. Businesses, I've talked about business before in different shows as well. When you run after money, you will always have issues. When you run after a cause, you might face difficulties. But everybody who's with you, that you've valued, that you've cared for, that you've spoken to, that you've trained as well, that you've acknowledged, that you've held yourself accountable for, that this is a person who's my colleague and I'm supposed to be in charge of this department or in charge of the colleague and I take responsibility for this. The moment you do that, regardless of how many difficult times you face, you will see success. Again, statistics are talking. Look at The Economist, you'll find that out. Look at New York Times, there are plenty of stories that have this model preached and mentioned. Look at different business analysis magazines as well. They have the same stories mentioned. The moment you help someone, the moment you defend someone, your colleague, your senior, your junior, whoever they are, the moment you hear other people out before putting your own opinions on the table, the moment you trust somebody and you tell them that I trust you and I know you could do a good job, the moment you take accountability, you've become a leader. It's not about delegating tasks either. Delegation is a big part in, senior management roles. They delegate tasks to people. Now, according to The Economist again, delegation usually takes place when there's a lot of work on a higher level manager or senior employee's table. That's fine. But let's get into the details. Many times people delegate tasks if they think they're too lengthy or if they don't know how to do the work. Or if they think that it's going to be too much red tape, that means there are too many barriers. These three situations is when people in senior management delegate tasks to others, whether they be in educational institutions, businesses, corporations, organizations. That's an 85% of what happens. But let's look at the 15%, because the 15% is what we want to highlight and hope takes over and increases in percentage. You delegate a task, obviously, when you have too much on your table, it makes sense. You delegate a task to somebody you know can do the job, or somebody who's in that position that role profile says that they could do the job. Don't delegate to somebody, give them more work than their role profile, than their actual job description. That's also something that people abuse. You give it to somebody who has it in their description, but maybe they haven't practiced it enough. Or maybe it's something that's still new to them. They had all the qualities, they're qualified for the job, but maybe they haven't done that before. So you give it to them as a learning curve, and you train them as they do that task. That is leadership. Or maybe the leader or the person who received this task and is delegating it doesn't know how to do it, genuinely does not know how to take care of that task. Then they delegate it to somebody and ask them to teach them while they do the task. So they sit down with them while the task is happening. That again is leadership. You're always learning. You're eager to learn. You're eager to move forward. You're eager to hear your people out. You want the best to come out of people. That is what delegation means. That is the definition of delegating. When people say delegate wisely, this is what they mean. And this is what they should mean, at least. Some people, unfortunately, they let status and rank get to their head. I mentioned the story of the director who was waiting in the staff room for us and who showed his gratitude and expressed it by coffee and donuts, which was great. I have nothing but good things to say about that man. But not every director was like that. Some people let status hit their head, so they don't mix and mingle with people who work in their own organization. Make no mistake, even the doorman who works at your company, your organization, your business, whatever it is, even that person to the CEO is a colleague, because that person is a part of that organization. Just saying hi, meeting somebody is enough as well. Asking someone how their day is going is fine. We need more of that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but we just need more of it. Empathy is something that is lost. When colleagues, now when I say colleagues, I'm talking about the technical definition, but what people usually say is juniors and employees. When they make mistakes, higher level officials and officers are very quick to judge them, very quick to jump on them, very quick to tell them that they've done wrong. And tell them that we don't know what's going to happen in the future. If you keep this up, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We're going to give you a verbal warning, then we're going to give you a written notice, and then we're going to sack you, fire you. These things and these aspects, definitely not healthy, but they do exist. Empathy is when you walk up to somebody, a colleague, regardless if they're senior to you, junior to you, whatever it is, or if you're in charge of them, you're in charge of a department. It's when you walk in and you ask somebody how they're doing, and is everything all right? Why has their performance been low? Why has a negative feedback or something come through? Let me defend you. Let me help you. Let me offer you training. Let's make sure that your numbers are higher so you feel more confident about yourself as well. That is where a leader comes in. My final example that I'm going to share with you, dear viewers. I've talked about organizations, I've talked about families. Let's talk about countries. I'm talking about constituencies, that means cities, provinces, ultimately the country. Every time you see an election campaign run, people want to run for judgeship, people want to run for ministerial positions, people want to be member of provincial parliaments or member of parliament. People who run for this, you ask them what their views are and what they could bring on the table once they get the position. And people give you different bullet points and lists of what they're going to implement and bring. And that's great. If you're fighting for a just cause, you're going to bring a just cause in, we'll vote for you. That's excellent. But here's my question. This is a real life example that I'm going to be giving you. Obviously, I'm not going to take any names. Let's call it person X and person Y. They were running for the same seat. It was at Parliament, the seat that they were running for. And both had very big election campaigns. Person X was on the streets, meeting people, helping people out, mowing people's lawns for them. So was person Y. And they were interviewed by media personnel. They were interviewed before the voting happened, before people cast their ballots in. And all of them were saying, oh, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work on, healthcare, education, X, Y, Z. They had their points. And some of their points were quite similar as well. At the end, when the elections took place and the person was elected, person X was elected. Now, when person X was elected, obviously they were very happy. They gave an election speech as well. They thanked everybody. They said that we're going to work for you. And definitely a good candidate to be a representative in Parliament. When the media went to person Y, a lot of people approached him, and you think that everybody's going to say, are you sad about the verdict? Why do you think you lost? What happened? So media personnel came to person Y and said, what made you think that you lost this election? What happened? And put the mic at him. Person Y smiled and said that, I don't think I lost the election. You see, a lot of the points that I had were the same points that person X had. I'm not running for the position or the seat. I'm running for a cause. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, these were my causes. And more than half of them are the same causes that person X has. So if he gets the seat, I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. Because that person, I believe, will put those things and implement them the way I wanted to too. Me running or trying to apply for this position just means that I want to be a benefit to society. I want to do what I can within my capacity. Sure, it's not my time now. It wasn't meant to be. But the other person, I'm pretty sure they're going to do a good job. And if I can support them in some way, I will. But yes, if they don't adhere to the points that have been made, and they go opposite to it, or they don't pay too much attention to it, then yes, I'm going to ask questions. But I'm very happy about the elections. Do you see the difference right now between every other election that you've seen? In any country, any given country, what people are doing is they're bashing their opposition. They're too busy bashing them and name-calling them and trying to make scandals come up that they don't concentrate on the actual cause. If me as a human being, I walk up to people who are potential candidates for a position, my question is, do all of you want the betterment of the society or the betterment of the constituency or the betterment of the country that you're running this election for? If they say yes, then all of them are on the same level field that I'm in. Now, their points matter. Not who's done bad and who's done good and making scandals and corruption things come against them. It's unfortunate that if corruption, scandal, and all those things are true, it's unfortunate if they do exist. But right now you're focusing on the betterment of your society and how to progress with development and positive development. Anybody can be a leader. Leadership is not a rank. It's not a position. It's a decision. It's a choice. Think about it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.